Welcome back everyone. Second video. This is going to be about scanning down signatures in systems, so you can find things like wormholes, data sites, relic sites, combat sites, and mining and gas areas. So I'm going to do this in high sec because I know that there's a few things around. So first thing to note, if you're in high sec, you're fairly safe. Just don't drop probes near a station because they annoy people. So what I've done is I've just walked to this nearby planet. You will need a ship with a probe launcher. I've actually got a Sister's Core probe launcher. The Core probe launchers run slightly lower power and CPU. And then I've also got Sister's Core scanner probes. You will need core scanners if you want to search down signatures like spatial anomalies and sites, and you will need combat probes if you're searching for ships and people's mission sites. Don't recommend it in high sec unless you particularly want to go and start stealing from people's wrecks, or you're hunting somebody you've got kill rights on. But I'm just going to do this one for anomalies, wormholes, etc. But the same theory applies for ship scanning. So first thing to do before I drop any probes, because it does take a little bit of time, is I just check to make sure there are some signatures in. So if you click on the scanner and then click probe scanner, so I can see here there are actually 3 in this site. So what I like to do is I choose one, so I'm going to choose this one, double click it so it's centered on the map for me, and then what you need to do, so you've got different formations here. You've got spread, which is good if you for combat probes if you're searching for something in particular, and then you've got pinpoint, so we're going to use pinpoint for this one. Now back a few years ago, this you had to manually pull each probe into position and then shrink them down as you needed them. Now you just do this and then change the scale resolution. So we start at 16 AU. You get this nice little box thing here that you can move around. So what I do is drag it so that it's top down, position it as close to the center as I can, pull it down to the side. What you're aiming for is to basically try and get as much of the box inside this circle, because you'll get a quicker fix on something. Then click analyze. These lines here are the probes warping into position. Again, this is using 8, so the way that this works is basically like triangulation and echolocation. So each probe sends out a pulse which bounces off of it, and it will basically tell you how far away it is from each probe, and it will guess where it is. So that's given us 6.1%. So we do the same again, so it's moved now from down here, it's closer to some of the probes over here, so you relocate it so that it's over there, and then you can bring it down, so it's always half, it's done in halves. So each time you scan and it finds it and it gives you a bit of signal, you can bring the scan resolution down by half. So we analyze again. Obviously each time the probes have to warp into position. As you zone in, it will get a shorter and shorter time. So it hasn't moved much from that one, so we reposition it, bring it down to 4. Sometimes you can guess what the things are. This is probably a data site. No, it's a wormhole. So wormholes tend not to move around too much. So it's currently at 28%. So with a wormhole, you'll get this orange. It's usually orange, and you get like this little star thing on it. So what you can do with these, you can bring it down to half again, but I'm going to bring it down to 1. Rescan. And that should give me a fairly good lock on it. So it's off by a little bit there. So just reposition, bring it down, reanalyze. So it's at 93%. This one should give me 100. There we go. So what you can then do from here is right click it, save the location, give it a name or just leave it as is, which is what I'm doing. So I'm going to save that. And then if you're going to scan the rest of these down, go ahead and do that. You'll need to start back at 16 and basically follow the same method. Otherwise, click this button here and it will pull all your probes back into your ship. Make sure you do that, otherwise you will lose your probes. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to warp to it. So I've bookmarked the location. So I've actually bookmarked that there. Ooh, one of these. The other thing to do is, if you're using a ship that is also capable of covert ops cloaking, is to cloak, because you never know who's hanging around. Who's hanging around a wormhole. So we're here now. So I'm going to reload that. If you're looking for wormholes in particular, there is a good website for searching what kind of wormholes they are. So you can look them up. So this next bit, especially for wormhole exploration, is very important. So you approach it, I would normally be cloaked, but this system is at the moment relatively quiet. So we're going to go ahead and get close. And then you can jump through when you're within 2.5 kilometers. So we jump through here. Okay. So this is a class 3 red giant. And you can see obviously the positive and negative effects that we're having on our ship here. The other thing you can see, because of the scanning skills and stuff I've automatically detected some of these signatures. Red ones are ones that require scanning down. Green ones are ones that you can actually just warp to. However, obviously you've got to be very careful of doing those, because anyone can warp to them. Obviously once you've probed down these other sites, if somebody else probes these down, they can also do those. So this number up here, the J number, is the wormhole. So I'm just going to quickly look that up. So it's 232441. So yeah, I can see that is a class 3 red giant, and there's quite a few gas sites, data sites and ore sites in there that we could possibly mine. The site that I'll link down below also has a suggestion for fleets that you would want to take in there. So I've just auto decloaked because I've jumped through and I've auto decloaked, so I'm just going to quickly recloak myself. In a wormhole, I would highly recommend running a ship with a covert ops cloak, simply so that it's very difficult for people to use combat scanners and find you. So again, see here, you can see all of these signatures that I could possibly scan down, and these green ones that you can just go to. The this icon here is obviously you, and yeah, so there's planets, there's all of these. Some of these will be gas sites, some will be data sites, and some will be mining sites. So the most important thing to remember when you're in a wormhole is the exit. So right click, save the location. What I usually do is I just call it exit. You do sometimes get transit wormholes or transit hub wormholes where you'll end up with multiple wormholes. I found one earlier this morning and it had 4 wormholes, and I went in and I scanned down and mapped and jumped through each one and then mapped them out and named them the systems that they were going to. So always make sure that you bookmark your exit. It is possible to, so you've usually got a couple of hours. There you go. There's actually a wreck and a dead body here, which is why you cloak. Yeah, so always just bookmark the exit. If you do get stuck, so a wormhole will last for usually anywhere between 6 and 12 hours in a system before it collapses. You can force collapse wormholes. You get ships of a certain size because you can't always jump large ships through. and it should warn you before it does actually collapse. But if you jump ships, large enough ships, in and out and in and out and in and out, the wormhole will actually collapse, and the system then generates a new exit somewhere else. So yeah, that's it. I would, for low class wormholes, I would highly recommend a stealth ship like the Astro that I've got here, or one of the others that gives you fairly good alignment and speed, the ability to cloak and warp or cloaked, and if you're going to go mining, I would probably take something like a Venture and one or two friends to protect you, unless it's a known very quiet system. Obviously in a wormhole system there is no local chat. The local chat does exist, but you can't see who's there. That's part of the thrill of wormholes. You'll also may run across things, because it's lawless, you may run across things like warp disruption bubbles, player stations, interdictors, all the stuff that you would get in normal nullsec, but in wormholes. There's also NPCs called Awakened. Again, unless you've got really tanky, reasonably good DPS ship, you probably don't want to be messing with them. But hopefully this has been helpful on how to probe down spatial anomalies like wormholes. Again, once you've scanned down, you just right click on it in the top right and bookmark it. And with a wormhole, always remember to bookmark the exit. If it does collapse and you've got probes, you should be able to probe it down once a wormhole collapses. From within a wormhole, once that exit collapses, another one will open almost immediately to somewhere else. So your exit is generally never in the same location.